up, you guys? This is Rob from thedailygrind, and today on the Daily Grind, we're going to be chatting about my top 5 frames for arbitration. Now, before we jump on in, I do have a couple disclaimers. I did want you guys to be aware that this is going to be a little bit more rambly, a little more chatty. It's not going to be super duper structured. I have a list in front of me, as always, on a napkin, but I am in a bit of a rush because I will be heading out to TwitchCon tomorrow morning, and I'll actually be streaming from the Intel booth at 3:45 p.m. So just in case you guys want to check me out, I'll be over at twitch.tv/agayGuyPlays during that time slot, so come say hi. The next thing that I did want to point out is the frames that I've chosen are frames that kind of really fit my playstyle. And to be honest with you, when it comes down to arbitrations, I do a lot of like pub arbitrations. I just don't have the time to like call up my friends, set down some time, and be like, I need you here right now, and we're gonna set up an epic crazy group to like own this specific arbitration. So the frames that you're gonna see are going to be ones that you can literally just pop into one and be successful as long as everybody else is not dying. However, I did want to give some love to a couple of frames out there. Saren is going to be absolutely nuts, especially in a group environment, if you can keep her safe and keep her alive. Not that she doesn't have regenerative mult and that she can't take care of herself, but, you know, like, especially when waves get a little bit higher, when things get a little bit crazier, you do want to make sure to have a little bit of insurance because she is going to be an insane damage dealer. I love her in theory, but to be completely honest with you, you need a little bit of, like, protection for our girl Saren. Next up, we have Necros. Necros and Octavia are two frames that I think will be absolutely nuts for arbitration. Necros specifically for survivals, because as you guys know, the value of the towers and the health, not the health, what is it called? The life support, are not at full power. So having a Necros to be able to pop as many of those life support things for you are going to be absolutely nuts. And then one of my favorites is of course an invisibility frame. So of course, since Octavia I feel is the queen of invisibility, she's gonna be able to do a great job of like controlling points because she can put down her thumper and just basically kill everything in that area and stay invisible for extended periods of time. So definitely big ups to her there. And the last but not least of my kind of like honorable mentions is Trinity. You'll actually see her in the background right now. I did play a defection arbitration with her, and I'm gonna be honest with you, defection arbitrations are kind of lit. Defection and excavations, I didn't think to like them as much as I did, but let me tell you right now, defection and excavation arbitrations, that's my jam. So let's go ahead and move on to my official list. In fact, I'm just gonna bump someone up to the top, mainly because of the fact that I had already mentioned them. Of course, I'm going to mention Loki. Loki is definitely my favorite frame for arbitrations when it's going up against the Grineer or the Corpus. I find him to be really, really flexible in all of those avenues, and the fact that he can disarm enemies, because one of the things for me when it comes down to arbitrations is I rarely die in an arbitration. I made a mistake once and it is weighing heavily on my mind and I feel guilty about it because I'm like, I don't die in arbitrations. I died with the Neja, and it was because I needed to get some Coke Zero and I was like reaching over and then like a swarm of like Nullifier and Friends and Arbiters drones came out and I was like, not the time, sorry, but you know what? I needed that Coke Zero. But yeah, so usually I don't die in arbitrations, but sometimes your allies might need a little bit of help, and I think that one of the greatest things that you could do is disarm some big weaponry carrying enemies. So I think it's fantastic when you come by with Loki, and the way that I play him a lot when it comes to arbitrations is I tend to zip around and look for arbitration drones. Knock those out, clear anything out of the way. I really like the glaive prime with him in this because you're invisible a lot, right? And then you could go ahead and throw your glaive and just have it bounce amongst other enemies, or you can do a power throw and just chop through a whole group of them while you're invisible. It's fantastic. And if they don't die straight out of the gate, you have the slash proc that's pretty much guaranteed on your power throws. So fantastic on that. Definitely one of my favorites. Really, really survivable, and I feel like he's flexible as to any arbitration that you put him into. Now, of course, there are going to be specific frames that are fantastic for specific arbitrations. Loki is just kind of like my general overall go-to if I don't really want to think about things and I see that it's Corpus or Grineer. I'm like, Perfecto. We're going right on in. Now, someone who is a little bit more specialized, I would say, is our girl. And I haven't mentioned her name in a while. And I'm like, I need to mention her name a little bit more because she's fantastic. Of course, Gara. Yes, that's right. That is how I'm pronouncing her name from now on. Miss Gara. And this is really where I discovered my love for her, was on Infested Excavations. In Infested Excavations, oh my god, just shut up, don't even talk to me about any other Warframe, just bring yourself a Gara, and just go ahead and get your Splinter Shield out there, toss out your Massive Vitrify, just cover those like excavation points, and make sure you stack up that Splinter Shield, because literally, you just run around, you're like a little fucking lawnmower for the Infested, you just and you just chop through them. There's no armors on those babies, so guess what? Boom, they are dead. And guess what? With arbitration drones, you know what you do? You'll walk up to them and you stand by them and you chop them down, and because they're usually in the middle of a squad of enemies, then once all of those enemies become vincible. What is vincible the opposite of invincible? Because I always want to say just vincible, or you know, once they become vulnerable, maybe that's the word I'm looking for, they all get chopped. So pop that Arbiter's Drone with your Splinter Storm, and then all of a sudden you're standing in the group of a dead cluster of Infested. She's fantastic for that, and I've had tons and tons of success with her. Just making a small little pillar of glass to protect the excavation drill things. So if you have not played with her for any, and I'm gonna even say it doesn't even have to be excavation, just anything Infested, give her a shot during anything Infested and you will love her. Just make sure that you are refreshing your Splinter Storm and make sure that you're stacking up the damage on there. And just in case for anybody who's a little bit new who doesn't know how to do that, you refresh Splinter Storm by recasting Mass Vitrify. And then when you recast Mass Vitrify, you can cast your one, I forgot what it's called, but it's a glass sword that shatters it, and all of that glass that shatters from it adds to the damage that is on your Splinter Storm. Just a reminder in case you forgot or you haven't picked her up in a while. So fantastic for excavations, Infested missions. Love her, love her, love her. Another person that I really, really like for kind of like a specific mission is Limbo on basically any kind of defense. Legitimately Limbo on any kind of defense. It doesn't have to be a big, like, you know, AoE range Limbo, but Limbo just stops shit. He's just like, no, I don't think so. And there's really not much more to say about that. He's just like, oh, you wanted to come over here? No, that's a no, no thanks. And he just puts everything in stasis. As long as he can keep everything in stasis, or he can stay in the rift, he stays very, very safe. So there's a lot of survivability when it comes to Limbo. The only thing that I will say that I've noticed is there are some weird, like, interactions that go on with Limbo and his rift and the Arbiter drones. It's strange, and I don't know if it's still buggy. I don't know if it's something that they're planning on, like, messing around with a little bit. But just make sure to pop those drones first, because sometimes it's weird, like they can't be meleeed inside the bubble sometimes. It's odd. But for the most part, if you need somebody to hold you down, if you need somebody to hold an extractor down during an excavation, if you need somebody to, you know, put... Because, man, those little asshole defense people, you can put down what is it called? Cataclysm right on top of him, and he can wander around. He's got enough space to wander around in there, you know what I mean? As long as he's not taken off, but of course, Limbo can just recast Rift whenever he feels like it. So, fine and dandy. Definitely love Limbo for that, and Stasis, absolutely fantastic. The next one that I want to put up there is... kind of like an all-over frame. You can pretty much use them for anything, and I think that if you are really scared, if you're really scared of dying in an arbitration, and maybe you're not necessarily, you know, the greatest at extended duration things, yada yada yada, so on and so forth, Revenant is like a no-brainer for arbitrations. You can recast his, what is it called, his Mesmer skin. And as you guys know, Mesmer skin makes you invincible. It absorbs up to, I think I was taking like 10 to 11 points of, you know, hits, 10 to 11 different hits. And basically what would happen was enemies, after they hit you, they're just like, oh. So technically you're not only defending yourself by use of Mesmer skin, but you're also defending your allies. And then of course you can turn those enemies into thralls, then you can tell those thralls into like pillars. There's so many things that you can do. He's really, really good for CC and just good for surviving. Because Mesmer skin, you can recast it when you're at 5. In fact, just recast it when you have some energy and you're like, okay, I'm safe for the next X, Y, and Z hits. And, you know, if you really need to get out of there, you can always just use, I don't even remember what it's called, but it's the gassy wall, the Reeve ability. So there, you can even like restore health to yourself, health and shields to yourself via that if something does go awry. Of course, his ultimate does a good chunk of damage. I'm not going to say a lot of damage, but a good chunk of damage to enemies as well, just in case you need to clear out spaces. But definitely, if you're feeling like a little bit like lazy and like maybe you need some Coke Zero, I'm not joking, like literally. I keep a bottle next to me at all points in time. So if you're having a Coke Zero moment, or you know you're eating food at the same time, get yourself a Revenant, jump into that arbitration. You know you'll be good. Now the last one that I do want to put out there is, of course, what I like to say is the savior of arbitrations. I see him a lot. I see him used many a times, and I think that he is absolutely fantastic for this mode, and that is Oberon. Now, I'm gonna be real with you, I'm a selfish ass motherfucker, so I don't actually run Phoenix Renewal on my Oberon. I know, it sounds terrible, but just so you guys are aware, Phoenix Renewal is a part of his renewal buff, and basically it just doesn't let you die. Now, I haven't experienced this myself. Like, I'm pretty sure it won't let you die during this mission, and in fact, somebody in the comments below let me know if Phoenix Renewal does block your death, because again, I haven't used it, but just Oberon in general, number one, provides health restoration to your team. So it's gonna help solve that problem where your teammates are dying because they're, you know, they don't have their, maybe they're drinking Coke Zero, or maybe they don't have their shit together, but at least they're getting a heal over time to help keep them alive. The more you help keep other people alive, the more people are more likely going to stay in the mission. The longer that they're willing to stay in the mission, the more rewards you get. And in addition, it's like a big group hug from everybody. They get the armor, they get the restoration. And then more importantly, you can do a lot of CC with Oberon as well. You can use your carpets to like put out those, what is it called? Hallowed ground and radiation procs, right? So now you have enemies fighting amongst themselves so that they're grouped together. Anybody who's using condition overload, oh my god, Oberon with a little bit of like a condition overload za, and you just do like a little spin and slap. It's sexy, I'm telling you right now. Very sexy. In addition to that, you can always go ahead and throw on your Reckoning to strip armor, just in case you're taking on armored targets. So that'll help your kills and your team do all of that. A little long-range distance smite will also kind of keep enemies at bay, give them a little bit of that, give them a little more procs to work off your condition overload. Oberon's just fantastic for this game mode, aside from Phoenix Renewal. We're not even talking about Phoenix Renewal, but you add Phoenix Renewal on top of that, and that's like insurance for you. Insurance for you and your team. If it works. Again, I don't use Phoenix. Like, listen, I made like a build for him, and it's very tight, and I'm just saying. So be sure you guys check out all of those 5 frames. In fact, down in the comments below, I'd love to hear what your 5 frames are that you go to arbitration. What are your top 5 frames down there? Because I definitely have my favorites. Another one that I haven't really mentioned too much of, I see Ninja everywhere. Like, a lot of people really seem to like Ninja for arbitrations. Again, I had that bad experience where I was having a Coke Zero moment, and I walked away and I died, and then I felt slighted, and I never ended up using him ever again. But I could see Chroma, maybe even an Electric Chroma in there might be a little juicy, you know? Toss all of your favorites down in the comments below, and if you've made it this far in the video, toss down a little plus too on your comments, alright? Just so that I know you made it all the way to the end and that you rocked with me this entire time. But that does about do it for me for now. I gotta go and get packed for TwitchCon because it is hours away. So I will see you guys next time. And as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. Get yourself some Coke Zero. Not spons, but please, you could sponsor me if you wanted to. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.